Today on Public Eye News, the National Labor Relations Board has issued a complaint against Duke Life Point, and 2 fishermen have been rescued after being stranded on Alger County ice.
Ryan Gooch has the latest on today's heat wave, and Max Stevens will have the details on the opening day of Major League Baseball season. Hi, I'm Todd Rose.
And I'm Anthony Celia, and you're watching Public Eye News. And the National Labor Relations Board issued a complaint against Duke Life Point on Monday. The complaint was in regards to 3 unfair labor practice charges filed by the Michigan Nurses Association on behalf of the nurses at the UP Health System in Marquette. The complaint stated that the Marquette nurses experienced illegal threats and intimidation from supervisors in regards to participating in the 2-day strike. This type of retaliation for union activity is expressly prohibited in federal labor law and undermines efforts by nurses to achieve a fair contract with staffing standards that protect patient care. The court date has been set for July 24th in the federal court in Marquette. And the Huskies and the Wildcats faced off yet again last weekend in another competitive rivalry. The UP Quiz Bowl took place and each school fielded 3 teams for the competition. The competition took more of a humanitarian and literature approach as opposed to more traditional and math, science, and questions throughout the tournament. Despite the change-up, both teams did well. This is Northern Michigan's 4th tournament of the year, out of which they had 2 first-place finishes and 1 second-place finish.
2 teenage fishermen were rescued without injury last night near the Autrain River. According to the Alger County Sheriff's Office, at approximately 8:53 p.m. last night, Alger County Dispatch received a 911 call reporting 2 fishermen were stranded on a floating iceberg that broke off of shore. 17-year-old Donald Owen Tucker and 18-year-old Waylon James Rondeau were rescued approximately 400 feet from shore. And Michigan State law has altered a tax on medical marijuana card holders. The federal budget passed last week indicated that the government will continue to not enforce federal drug laws in states with legalized medical marijuana. The tax will now also apply to patients buying products from a caregiver certified to grow a regulated amount of plants for patients. The tax will be an honor system for those patients because they'll have to claim what they've purchased on their annual state tax returns as a use tax.
And an accident that shut down part of US 2 near Ironwood has been confirmed as fatal. A semi-truck collided with a car around 3:53 on Tuesday morning, killing 1 passenger in the car immediately. Both drivers were taken to Asperis Grandview Hospital in Ironwood, and no names have been released at this time. The road is back in use as of today, with traffic proceeding as normal, and the crash is still undergoing an investigation at this time. And legislation is trying to make cyberbullying a criminal offense in the Senate. It has been nearly a year since the passing of an 11-year-old boy who has committed suicide after being cyberbullied by a 13-year-old girl and her friends on social media. His mother, Katrina Goss, has been working with the Michigan Attorney General's office and OK to Say so that Michiganders can feel like they can come forward about threatening behavior anonymously. Tyson Story has helped kickstart the operation, and thousands of people have already reached out. And after the break, we'll be back with your national and international news. Stay tuned.
On World War II megaweapons.
This is the largest battleship on the planet.
Japan constructs a monstrous destroyer.
More powerful than the best that the Americans could produce.
The battleship Yamato outguns the Allies.
The very earth shook.
But it's vulnerable to air attacks. The battleship Yamato.
The Japanese are confident it is unsinkable.
On World War II megaweapons.
Tonight at 10 after Nova on Public TV 13.
And welcome back. 15 people were hospitalized yesterday after a spilled substance at a Berwyn Medical Clinic sickened employees and patrons, fire officials said. Just before 3 p.m., Berwyn firefighters were called to a GenCare Senior Medical Center in the 6300 block of Cermak Road after phenyl, a chemical substance used in certain medical treatments, spilled in an exam room. The building was evacuated and closed, and ventilation systems were shut off. And human error may be to blame for the loss of thousands of embryos and eggs at a fertility center outside Cleveland. Hospital officials publicly admitted yesterday that the number of eggs and embryos lost when the freezer system failed is double the original estimates. Anna Warner has the details.
I assumed they were in the safest place.
Amber and Elliot Ash had hoped their 2-year-old son Ethan would one day have a sibling.
We want to move on and get past this, but we keep being reminded that we did lose our only chances there.
Now the Ash family is suing university hospitals and calling for new regulations in the fertility industry.
We had a terrible situation at our fertility clinic.
University Hospital's CEO Tom Zenti notified families in a Facebook video and sent this letter of apology, saying it was unlikely any eggs or embryos are viable because the remote alarm system on the tank, designed to alert a UH employee to changes like temperature swings, was off.
I don't understand how somebody could be so truly reckless.
The hospital said some of the eggs and embryos had been stored there since the 1980s, and the tank in question needed preventative maintenance, which was being performed. While the investigation is ongoing, human error has not been ruled out.
We are in the process of identifying the exact sequence of when this occurred and who ordered the deactivation.
James Liu is chairman of obstetrics and gynecology at University Hospitals and said the hospital takes full responsibility.
We are very sorry that this happened.
But for the Ash family, it's hard to understand why the tank was not adequately monitored.
Everybody just wants UH to be accountable and to be transparent, and nobody wants to see failures like this occur elsewhere.
And an attorney for Stormy Daniels filed a motion Wednesday seeking to question President Donald Trump and his attorney under oath about a pre-election payment to the adult film actress aimed at keeping her quiet about an alleged affair with Trump. If the case is a success, it would be the first deposition of a president since the questioning of Bill Clinton back in 1998. Avenatti wants to question Trump and his legal crew for no more than 2 hours to see if he knew anything about the payment that is being referred to as a hush agreement and if he consented to it. And Kim Jong-un made his first trip outside of North Korea since becoming its leader. Kim visited with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. The meeting comes ahead of a planned meeting with President Trump sometime in the future. Angelica Alvarez has more details from the White House.
North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un and his wife were greeted warmly by Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. The face-to-face meeting is the first for Kim outside of his country since becoming North Korea's leader in 2011. China has been North Korea's best trading partner for decades, but that relationship has become strained, with China agreeing to U.S.-led sanctions against Pyongyang in retaliation for its nuclear program.
Both China and North Korea needed this meeting. What's clearly happening is that Kim Jong-un is engaging in a diplomatic flurry of meetings to make sure that he knows what everyone is doing and that he's shored up his relationship with China.
The White House says it was not alerted to Kim's visit before it happened, but that the administration is viewing the trip as a positive.
We're going to be cautiously optimistic, but we feel like things are moving in the right direction, and that the meeting yesterday was a good indication that the maximum pressure campaign has been working.
Kim has put denuclearization on the table, something that seemed improbable just months ago. He told the Chinese press the issue of denuclearization of the Korean peninsula can be resolved if South Korea and the United States respond to our efforts with goodwill. President Trump and Kim Jong-un say they will have their own face-to-face meeting sometime in the future. Angelica Alvarez, CBS News, the White House.
Flags flew at half-staff across Russia today as the country mourned 64 victims, many of which were children of a shopping mall fire in Siberia. The blaze engulfed the four-story mall in the eastern city of Kemerovo on Sunday, while it was packed with parents and children on the first weekend of the school recess. Investigators identified a short circuit as a possible cause and said the emergency exit doors were locked shut, hampering any evacuation. A court in Kemerovo is expected to rule later today on the arrest of one of the mall's tenants, the mall's technical director, 2 employees of a company maintaining the fire alarm system, and a security guard who the investigators said turned off the alarm system. And stay tuned, because after this short break, we'll be back with your weather and sports.
I've been around the world, but there's one place I keep coming back to: And the more I explore, the more I realize it's the place to be. I'm Tom Dalton, and this is Under the Radar Michigan.
Thursday at 9:30, Friday at 5, and Saturday night at 10:30.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Gooch, and I'm going to be taking you through weather for today. As you can see behind me, it is pretty sunny out there, and there are just people out there on campus enjoying the warm weather. And looking ahead at our current conditions, it is sunny and with a temperature of 49 degrees, winds coming out of the south at 15 miles an hour, and a barometric pressure of 29.87 and falling. And looking into tonight, it's going to be partly cloudy with a low of 32 degrees, winds coming out of the north-northwest at 10 miles an hour. And looking into tomorrow, it's going to be cloudy with a high of 32 degrees and winds coming out of the north at 12 miles an hour. And looking across the UP, in the Sioux, it's 38 degrees and cloudy. Manistee, 38 degrees and cloudy. Escanaba, 40 and partly cloudy. And Menominee, it's 45 degrees and sunny. And looking on the other half of the UP, it is 49 degrees in Iron Mountain. 51 degrees and partly cloudy in Ironwood, and 51 and cloudy in Houghton, and 49 degrees and sunny in Marquette. And looking ahead, on Friday, there's going to be a high of 33 and a low of 17 and cloudy. Saturday, a high of 34 and a low of 13 and cloudy. And Sunday, a high of 25 with a low of 13 and cloudy. Now, Max, temperatures are going to heat up for the weekend, and I hear baseball is also heating up.
Can't wait to watch my Tigers again, Ryan. Hopefully we don't have the worst record in baseball again. Well, it's almost April, and America's national pastime is set to return tomorrow for Major League Baseball's Opening Day 2018. March 29th marks the earliest opening day in league history, and in addition, all 30 teams will be in action tomorrow. The first pitch of the 2018 season is set for 12:40 tomorrow afternoon when the Miami Marlins host the Chicago Cubs. The Detroit Tigers host the Pittsburgh Pirates tomorrow at 1:10. However, the weather is looking a little less than ideal for baseball. And meanwhile, the Milwaukee Brewers open tomorrow in San Diego, where the series against the Padres, first pitch set for 4:10. Detroit Red Wings general manager Ken Holland is expected to return next season, announced yesterday in the Detroit Free Press. The 62-year-old Holland has guided the Wings to 3 Stanley Cup victories in his 10 years, but his future has been questioned this year as his contract has not been extended past this season, and the Wings are in the middle of a serious rebuild. Earlier this month, Chris Ilitch, owner of the Detroit Tigers and Red Wings, declined to comment on Holland's future with the team when he visited the Tigers' spring training in Lakeland, Florida. This year in particular is pivotal in the rebuild as the Wings are stacked with 11 draft picks, including an 8.5% chance to land the #1 pick in this year's draft. And Michigan State sophomore forward Miles Bridges announced today that he is entering the NBA draft and has hired an agent. Bridges averaged 17 points and 7 boards this past season after stunning the basketball world when he elected to return to Michigan State for his sophomore year after winning Big Ten Freshman of the Year honors. Bridges is expected to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft, and in his statement, thanked Coach Tom Izzo and Michigan State for, quote, giving a skinny kid from Flint the chance to play. Well, Todd, a couple of NHL teams in the running there hoping to luck out and get that #1 pick, and I hear you have a story on a man who lucked out.
Yeah, that's right. Pretty lucky guy here in New Jersey. A New Jersey man who signed up for an internet gambling has won nearly $194,000 on his very first spin of an online slots game. Annabelle Lopez of Woodbridge said he was bored after work Monday night, so he created an account game on the site playsugarhouse.com on his smartphone. And that's actually all the time we have for you tonight. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.